of confidence is anything more than what you'd expect a GM to say. I could reinterpret this quote as, yeah, we're going to keep him, but if you make the right offer, he'd be available in a trade. And we've now reached the juncture of Jimmy Garoppolo's contracts, and here I am again speaking about how almost all of these decisions are driven by the finances, that if the 49ers were to cut or trade Jimmy Garoppolo, they would only take a $2.8 million dead salary cap charge, which for all intents and purposes means that if they can either find somebody else to replace him or get enough in a trade to make it worth it, Jimmy Garoppolo was a piece that they could reasonably find a new home for. He does have a no-trade clause, but as much as John Lynch and the 49ers could run it back with Jimmy G next year, nothing would surprise me with this team depending on who becomes available the rest of the way this offseason.
I love it, babyface. I love it. I love where you're going because you led me right to where I need to go. Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell y'all the God-honest truth. Like my man Big Perk say, let me address you like the numbers on the house. The number one thing that John Lynch said was, if the right situation presents itself, Jimmy Garoppolo will not be our quarterback. Let Houston call San Francisco and say, we want to play ball. We want to figure out how to get y'all guy. Y'all get our guy with some picks. Let that happen. Like all of this stuff, right, we know it's subject to change. But one important part of what I saw, what John Lynch said, we have to insulate him. That ain't where you want to be, right? Now, that's the reality for majority of the teams in the NFL. Because sometimes we get it conflicted that we think in order for you to be a franchise guy, you need to carry a team and lift them above, right? It's only a few guys that can do that. But you also have to show up in those moments, right? And for us, that is the question we have and we've had for Jimmy Garoppolo. Is he good? Nobody's questioned that. Can he play the position at a high level at times? Nobody questions that. But John Lynch is the GM and Shanahan is the head coach. And you better believe if they can get better at the quarterback spot, they will.
That's the biggest thing, man. All y'all up here bashing Jimmy Garoppolo. He's talking about staying healthy. Listen, when Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy, this team wins games. Like, that's the bottom. Like, you can cut it however you want, right? Like, this is a Dak Prescott argument to me, right? Is that he wins. I don't care how he wins, if it's pretty, if it's ugly, he finds ways to win. He took them to a Super Bowl. And by the way, he was one bad throw. And I get it. It was a bad throw. One bad throw of Patrick Mahomes being over in the Super Bowl, fellas. So talking like he can't take this team is silly to me. Look, I'm not a Jimmy Garoppolo huge fan. I agree with you. He's not the franchise guy. He can win games. And you said, Swagoo, you said the perfect name, Shanahan. Shanahan, with all the different talent he has on that football team, if they all stay healthy, can win. They don't need to go put a ton of money in that quarterback position because that's not what he has to have. Listen, he has won and understands how to run offenses. Jimmy G can get it done. Jimmy G's biggest issue is offseason. Bro, get to the gym, work out, stay healthy, do those things. He does that. This team is a contender.
See, I'm going to call you Jeff Tuesday today because you want to be boring. You not Jeff Saturday. Saturday is for the weekend. It's for the
I think it's Wednesday, though.
You Jeff Tuesday today. Listen, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing, Jeff. I 100% understand what you're saying. But also, when we look at Jimmy G, we got to be careful when we talk about winning and carrying, bro. Like, let's be honest now. You played with one of the greatest to ever do it. I get it. He in the lineup, they win. But they win because the dudes behind them suck. That's why they don't win when they're not playing, because they suck. The other thing is this, though. The other thing is this. We also have to account for the fact that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch was on the sideline when they only threw 8 passes to win the NFC Championship. So there is a lot of, winding road in this conversation with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, let me give you another winding road here. Garoppolo has posted the 5th highest winning percentage since joining the 49ers in 2017, but he's played in just 52% of the games. The health is such a big part of this, too. All right, situation. I slowed down there a little bit on that last line, Field, because that line is maybe the most important in the statement. Why is that?
100%, Laura, because, all right, I understand that Ben regressed down the stretch, as the team did as well. Those things normally go hand in hand together. But still, if you look at the realistic options for the Steelers right now, the best quarterback available to them for 2021 is Ben Roethlisberger. But if it was as simple as that, their desire plus his desire to return being the solution, this wouldn't even be a conversation right now. That contract is where things get really tricky. You're talking about a two-time Super Bowl winning champion who has been obviously a part of this franchise for his entire career, 17 seasons in total. The question about that contract is probably not, do we just manipulate it so you have the same amount of money owed to you? We just make it a signing bonus as opposed to a base salary. It's probably how much of a pay cut are you willing to take to make this all work, which even though Ben has acknowledged he's going to have to restructure his deal, Laura, I just think it's a tricky situation to go to a player, a future Hall of Famer, one of the best players in your franchise's history, and say, here's the amount of money we're willing to pay you. And it's probably, if my instincts are correct, not quite as much as he's currently owed, which is north of $19 million for the 2021 season.
Marcus doesn't like the idea of people messing with the man's money. The other thing, too, about this is that doesn't even alleviate the cap hit situation, which is a whole other thing. But, right. Jeff, do you think that Ben is the right choice for the Steelers at QB?
100%, I think he's the right choice. Listen, when Phil was saying it, I agree with everything he's talking about the money part, but that he was regressing, I disagree with. I mean, look, this guy threw for 3,800 yards, over 30 touchdowns, I think 10 picks or something like that. This guy managed his football team. Their defense got decimated with injury as the season went on, which we know is the cowbell of this football team, right? It's what they hang their hat on. We understand that they had no run game, and really their pass blocking was atrocious. Every Pittsburgh fan is going to tweet me and tell me, oh, look at the PFF numbers or whatever. Nah, bro, go watch the film, right? Like, watch how fast this guy has to get the ball out of his hands to get things done. It is their run game. This dunk is their run game. They need to get their offensive line fixed and allow Ben to run the football and fall in. This guy can carry them to a championship. I do believe they're one of the AFC teams that has a chance, and it's through Ben Roethlisberger.
Look, Jeff, I'm with you, man, and I understand where you're coming from, but I'm also thinking that Ben is in that same vein where you have to build around him and not ask him to be the Ben Roethlisberger that we all had grown accustomed to. That's on Pittsburgh. That's on the Steelers. Another thing that's on the Steelers is to be in a better position when you have an aging quarterback and you don't have to be in this scenario that you're in where he has to come back, or you just chalking up a year with good players and a good defensive unit. We all got to remember, Bud Dupree got hurt. Devin Bush got hurt on that defense as well. Like we know the Steelers are a good football team. The offense was exposed.
Absolutely.
Number one, to Jeff's point, which I know disappointed him like hell during this football season, the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line is never supposed to be bad. They are never supposed to be in a conversation where we're talking about they don't have the offensive line to get things done. But they didn't. And they have to have a run game. They have to have those pieces. Look at what they did in Tampa. Look at what they did in New Orleans. Look at what they did for Phillip Rivers in Indy. Look at what they did for Peyton Manning in Denver. Do that for Ben, Pittsburgh, and that guy can be the guy Jeff Saturday is telling y'all he can be.
Yeah, and remember, Pouncey's retiring too, so another hole they would have to fill on that O-line next season. All right, feels like every time we throw